Welcome, folks, once again, session number 2 of Sunset Builders and Maintenance's podcast, where we interview local interesting folks, mainly with the intent of educating our customers. This is Jose. I'm going to let him introduce himself in a minute because I'm sure he'll do a much better job than I am, or I will. I will introduce myself, Mark Arnett, owner of Sunset Builders and Maintenance. We are your full-service renovation contractor, primarily residential, but we can also take care of some of your commercial build-outs as well. If you need our services, you can email me at info@sunsetbuilders.net, or you can call the office directly, 239-236-9646. And with that being said, welcome, Jose.
Yes, Jose Carreras, VIP Realty. What can I say? Real estate agent, 9+ years in the business at this point. Southwest Florida native, grew up in Cape Coral, live in Fort Myers now. Yeah, and I'm excited to be here, man. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. So you're a native Floridian,
Yeah.
pretty much. How many years, without telling me your age, how long have you lived here in Florida, and what's the greatest change you've seen?
So I've lived in Florida now, what are we going to say? We're going to say 25+ years at this point, and the greatest change that you said?
Yeah.
So I grew up in Cape Coral. So the boom during the 2000s was the biggest change that I've seen. I've seen the bridges go up, right? The Midpoint Bridge went up when I was in, middle school or so. Hurricanes have changed quite a bit, but the biggest change that I've seen is Cape Coral, the expansion in the northeast and northwest. It's kind of breathtaking since I was a kid, looking out towards the north, and there was nothing but grass, and now nothing but houses.
So quick funny story, my business partner has grown up on Sanibel since she was 5 years old, and she used to come off the island to go to high school, and her party thing to do back in the day was to drive out Daniels Drive where it dead-ended into a cow pasture.
That's right.
Now, she's a little bit older than 29. I can't tell you how old she is because she gets irritated with me for doing that, but yes, at one point Daniels Road dead-ended into a cow pasture, I guess.
It's incredible.
Jose, you are here representing real estate agents across the board. Gosh, there's a bunch of them, our businesses are tied together. A seller will reach out to us and say, my seller wants to fix a few things. Your buyers will come to us and ask us, hey, I need a quote for this, this, and this. Yeah. Tell me what your experience is in working with general contractors like myself in the past, and if you could change one thing, what would that be?
So general contractors, so there's a widespread of bad to good when it comes to contractors, as there is with realtors, as you can probably imagine. You know what I mean? So what I will say is that generally, if they are licensed, doing business well, have the trucks, have done all the right things, they've been a pleasure to work with. Actually, I think people that like in any trade, like if you're really serious about your craft, it's a pleasure working with people that are passionate about what they do.
So, just to interrupt you real quick, do you find that you use them more on the buyer's side or the seller side?
So the contracting side of things is usually after the transaction. So it depends on where we're at with the transaction. So on the seller side of things, it really becomes a conversation of how much more ROI can we get out of maybe a renovation, some touch-up, stuff like that. But it depends on the market. So like in the seller's market, we really try to extract as much ROI based on some of the renovations that we could do, right? So like a kitchen would get more, like a bathroom would get more, painting, flooring, stuff like that. As we're experiencing a buyer's market in Southwest Florida, it's really tough to say that it's worth putting in the amount of money.
I was going to ask you that question.
ROI.
I'm just going to make up numbers. If you have a house that appraises for $200,000, just for numbers, whatever.
Yeah, sure.
Do you get the ROI on renovating that kitchen right now?
I don't think so. It depends because I've heard quotes that are absolutely outrageous right now. And most of the time I'm talking to a consumer, the reason why buyers are really apprehensive about buying fixer-uppers is because of the elevated costs and renovations because of the hurricane, So
the material prices and labor prices have just gone through the roof lately. And I get told no a lot, like yourself. But, we had COVID.
Yes.
That pushed prices up, and they stayed going up after COVID ended because we couldn't put bodies in the jobs. So the manufacturing plants were limited on how much they could put out. Now we've got this fun little 4-letter word out there called tariffs that's got all these manufacturers just scrambling for the woodshed to try and figure out how do they protect their bottom line. And the final result, as always, let's raise the prices. And I tell people all the time, and we deal with a commodity-based business, lumber, metals, glass, and things of that nature. When those numbers go up, they have never come down. So I was talking, I've been in the construction business for almost 30 years in one form or another. I started as a sales rep at Orchard Park 84 Lumber in Buffalo, New York.
Okay.
You could buy a 2x4x8 stud at that time. I think the going rate back in that day, 1996, was about $1.15. And the other one that I remembered was a sheet of OSB, 4x8 OSB, half-inch thick, was selling for $14.99. Those two items right now, respectively, are about $7 and $45 each to get those to the job site and to where you can use them. So, material prices have gone up, and will continue to go up. There will be another hurricane eventually, so I always tell people the best time to do a project is right now.
That's exactly right. That's been my experience too. So it really depends. Like our current day consumer is definitely price conscious more than ever, right? Because the affordability of purchasing a house period is high. So now you have to think about that. Main mechanical items are something that I'm talking with sellers about the most, right? So like if you're coming out to the market and you do not have a roof within even 4 years, you're really in a bad position because people already look at you like this is a no good. I have to be the one to replace the roof. And when we went from 8 to 12, it's up to 20 or 24, depending on if you're doing artificial shingle or metal and all the different materials, right? So it just goes up. So you bear the expense of that. And oh, by the way, you're already buying at the most inflated price over the last 4 years. So now you have the inflated price on your purchase, and now over and beyond what you're trying to do, including the renovation, if you're buying a fixer-upper. So hard to find the because why does an investor ever pick up a house to make profit? And there's no margin there. Right. And as a buyer, it's hard to substantiate those. It's hard to substantiate those costs to a new home buyer. So as sellers, we're having the conversations with contractors like yourself to have that front-loaded conversation. Hey, the reason why you want to get out of this is the same reason why somebody won't buy. Right? If you don't want to pay for the roof, you're going to have that problem come rear its ugly head either now or later. So which one you want to dare?
We have a client right now on Sanibel. I've done a lot of work for them since the hurricane, and a lot of it's always been known that they want to sell the property. And so we've been kind of moving things along in that direction. And she's like, okay, I think we're done. I'm like, you need to come and walk this with me. You need to look at this through the eyes of a buyer. And I call it giving a house curb appeal.
Yes.
If you've got some landscaping that is looking a little tired, maybe a little fresh up on the landscaping, because the first thing a customer sees when they're looking at your house is the landscaping.
Exactly right.
And everybody's got burnt grass right now. I can't help it. And we've been in an epic long drought. But,
That's right.
A few little touch-ups to your landscaping that you can do or you can hire out to have done will work wonders, because that sets the tone of what they're thinking when they walk inside your house.
Absolutely. First impressions make a lasting impression. That's why I show up to every appointment with a shirt and a tie on first. It's about how you present yourself, and houses have the same appeal. So always keep your grass cut. That's why I always, small tip for realtors watching, like, what are you doing not putting on the lights and just turning on the fans? Like, what a small little impression that you could make to just have the natural sunlight hit them. Like, oh, I forgot it's Florida. Why would they come into a cold, stale apartment, house, single family? It doesn't really matter. Turn on the lights and turn on the fans, for crying out loud.
I love the people that will bake those cookies every once. I'm like, oh
man, like, we pull out the stops. It's called showmanship. I mean, you're a salesman, for crying out loud, realtors. So I don't know. That's just a trick of the trade. But also, first impressions. So like you were saying about the lawn and stuff like that, I think that's imperative type stuff, and it just depends on the consumer, their budget, and those are conversations that we're having as well. And as a realtor, you're just trying to, if you got to put lipstick on it, you do it, and it is what it is. So
all right, so let's play truth or dare, almost, if you will.
Okay.
But you now get to ask a licensed general contractor anything that you've ever been curious about as far as contracting. Fire away. I'll do my best to answer as honestly as I can, and then I'm going to turn one back around on you.
That's fair. Okay, the number one question that I have for contractors right now is, it's flood base. So tell me what are you guys seeing as the most in flood zone specific houses, the older houses, right? Your 60s, your 70s, your 80s build. What's the number one thing that people are doing to protect their properties? Is it these flood barriers? Is it extra straps on the roof? Is it windows? Is it all of it? Like, what is your experience with these flood prone
You're talking about two different products right there. For
Okay.
the roof straps and the windows are windborne mitigation issues, number
Okay.
one. There are numerous products out there that came on the market in the wake of Hurricane Ian that are supposed to be to help floodproof your home. Ironically, it's starting. Collier County just outlawed. You may have seen them. They're little barriers that go in front of your doors and so forth.
Yeah, the ones that kind of.
They've outlawed them now because they feel
them.
yes, you cannot put them on. You would have to have a permit because they mount to your home, and their logic was if they failed, it would introduce a catastrophic amount of water into your home at one time that you might not be able to survive if it hit. So. I don't always understand the logic of the building code. There are numerous instances where I disagree with it. And here's how it works. The Florida Building Code is established by a group. They sit down and they analyze all these events and they come up with rules and they produce the Florida Building Code. They change it about every 2 to 3 years. Local building municipalities, Collier County, Naples, Lee County, Fort Myers, Sanibel, Estero, Bonita Springs, Cape Coral, the list goes on. Those building departments are allowed to increase the rules, but they can't decrease them. And what you'll find is, the Florida Building Code says you have to paint, just as an example, you have to paint this house white. Naples may say you have to paint it gloss white, and then Collier County may say you have to paint it white product made by Sherwin-Williams. Those are kind of some of the generic examples that they might do. Now, they don't do that specifically, but they can change them. Back to your point. How are customers protecting themselves? Well, if you go out on Sanibel Island, a lot of those ranch homes, not all of them by any stretch of the imagination, a lot of those ranch homes are being elevated.
Right.
Hydraulic lifting is very commonplace over there. There's a couple of contractors that are doing it. I wish that I was involved in that sooner. But that is one of the things that they're doing. The other process, which is we did this on a job where we built a second story on top of an existing first floor home. And the first floor is now just all dry storage, and the house is now up on the second story.
Okay. And this is on your, sorry to double back the question, but this is on standard concrete block, slab the whole bit. You're raising the slab essentially, or just building on top of the existing slab, and then...
If you're building on, you keep that whole first floor just as it is, and you build up. If you're elevating the home, hydraulic lifting, they get underneath your slab, and they just start jacking your house up. And
what about the plumbing? They just cut the plumbing and then raise?
Yeah, they cut it outside your house line, and then they elevate your house, and then you got to reconnect all the utilities.
Interesting.
It's a cool process
love to see
watch.
this. Yeah, it's fascinating.
It happens more often than not. There's a house, or it's a business right on Periwinkle that was lifted not long ago, and every day we would go out on the island, we'd see it. Okay, it's up another foot.
That's awesome. So, yeah,
that's the best way to do it. I learned years ago when I first got into construction, don't fight Mother Nature. You're going to lose. Right. Okay, so it gets windy down here, and now we have to deal with floodwaters on a more consistent basis. And I thought that was something that was unique to these last couple of storms, but right. I went to this expose out on Sanibel Island put on by the Historical Society, where they analyzed all of the hurricanes that made the news. I think it went back to the 1800s, and the first part stopped just before Hurricane Ian. The next one is coming up in April, and it starts from Hurricane Ian and goes forward. The thing that I took away from it is a lot of those earlier storms, they had floodwaters with them.
Interesting.
I thought that was something that was relatively new because Hurricane Charlie was as dry as a bone.
Because you hear about water rising, so you figured that's a climate change issue. So you're saying there was flooding before.
It's been there going back. They talk about Sanibel used to be a big crop for lemon and limes and tomatoes, I think. or potatoes, one of the tomatoes maybe, and the floodwaters would wash across the island and wipe out, because of the salt water, it would wipe out the crops.
Interesting.
So this is not a new phenomena like some people want to think. And it can happen. It just depends on the action of the hurricane and how it spins and how it approaches the coastline,
right,
as to whether or not you're going to get 4 or 7 feet, or in Fort Myers Beach's case, 15 feet of water going across the island.
Yeah, or if the eye of the storm doesn't hit you directly, which was literally pretty much our case. You know?
Yeah, we stayed in the zone for Ian. I lived in my house just up the street here on off of Cypress Lakes, and that storm hovered around for 10 hours.
Yep.
That was, I mean,
just
usually
sat on us.
Yep. Usually
for
a hurricane event
morning,
is 2 to 3, 4, 5 hours, and it hits you and it's gone. This one was 10 hours, and it just like, dang, go on already.
That's exactly right. Exactly right. I have. So did you catch flooding in your house?
We were very lucky. My garage flooded, and it just missed coming into our house by a half inch.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah, we lost a pool cage, you know, but compared to some of the stories that I know personally firsthand from working out on the island after the storm, we were massively lucky. It's just no comparison.
No, 100%.
What else you have for me? Ask another one.
Oh, another one. Well, I mean, we're going to tag team back and forth. Let me think of one, because now the flood was my most that's the number one topic that I hear with buyers. So
I want to throw something out there. We get this a lot. I don't know if these are required closing docs for new buyers, but if you're buying a home and you know or suspect you're going to have to do some work, here are a few documents that you probably want to get, because if you don't, I'm going to get them for you. So one is a flood elevation certificate. Even if you're not in compliance, or you think you might be, some of these houses out on Sanibel that were built up, they actually comply.
So they're above that, what, that 8 or 9?
It just depends on where you're at, because that island has different numbers. That's a whole conversation that we can go over about FEMA and their flood map. But yeah, some of the houses might comply. The other one is a boundary survey. So I thought that used to be a required document.
So it depends on the purchase. So like if you're in financing, absolutely. Both are required for insurance purposes and for the sake of the lender. But if you're buying cash, you know, people say, why do I need to pay $650? I don't really care about the meets and bounds of the property. I'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, of course you do. So it depends on the cash purchase.
So surveys, flood elevation certificates, and wind mitigation forms.
Important.
Those 3 documents, probably close to $2,500. If you can negotiate with your seller to provide some of those. And the beautiful part is when we go to submit for permitting, most building departments want our documents to be less than 3 years old. So if you've got a really old survey, at least it's someplace to start. I can get those modified or updated as long as the survey company is in business, much less than if I have to start from scratch.
So in my experience, again, it depends on the buyer. The buyer that's coming in with lending, or if I'm representing them and they're coming in with lending, in most cases they're asking for those things because the lender themselves want to be protected, right? What happens if they default on loan? Of course, you want to know all the things about it, including insurance and proper coverage. As a cash buyer, if you're buying things as is, that's where it gets a little dicey, right? Like, you would think that your buyer's agent that's representing you is saying, hey, these are why they're important, especially if you're buying something dilapidated or that had just had recent work done. Then why don't you have the survey? Why don't you have an elevation? Where's your insurance? These are questions that if you're having a fully renovated house and don't have insurance, why? You know what I mean? Your antennas should fly up. And
all of those documents will help you. For instance, one of the first things you have to do before you can close, I think, is to provide insurance on the property.
Oh yeah.
So if you've got,
no, not necessarily. So on a cash purchase, as is, as you know, that's the difference. So as is means, hey, I'm alleviating you of all things. I'm taking literally it as is, and we live on the as is contract. At least in Lee County specifically, that's 98% of the transaction, 95%. I think I've had maybe one transaction on the standard contract. So you're getting literally the property as it lies where it lies, you know?
Right, but if they want to put insurance on the home to protect themselves, one of the first questions
need to do that, yes,
you need to show how that house was built. Otherwise, you're going to get the worst insurance coverage out there.
Yes.
If you get insurance coverage.
Right.
The flood elevation certificate, it gives your builder a baseline. You know, if I look at that flood elevation certificate and I compare it to the FEMA map, I know if your home is conforming or non-conforming, and that's going to dictate what we can do for permit values. That's a whole different conversation. We're going to hold back on that. And then the other one is a survey. You would be amazed at how many times I have gone to people's properties. I want to put a pool in, or I want to put a shed in right here. And do you have a survey? No, don't have a survey. We pull a survey for them, and we find out their neighbor has put fences on them.
That's exactly right.
They're maintaining a section of land that actually belongs to my customer, and they had no idea. I'm like, well, that's what a survey's for. So,
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Perfect. Jose, it's been a pleasure to have you here today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the dialogue.
Of course.
Tell folks how they can get in touch with you real quick.
Yeah, so I mean, if you're in the Southwest Florida area, you can reach out to me anytime. Jose Carreras with VIP Realty, 239-699-8204. You can catch me on Instagram, TikTok. If you just put in Jose Carreras, put in the Realtor, or else you're going to get the singer. But other than that, you're going to find me all the same. So Jose Carreras, Realtor. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you. And folks, I'm Mark Arnett, Sunset Builders and Maintenance. Our office number is 239-236-9646. We are located in the old Kmart Plaza, 15271 McGregor Boulevard, Suite number 3, right next to my favorite seafood house, Salty Papa's Shrimp House. Please come and check out the food. I can't speak highly enough of it. And call us on your next remodeling project. We'd love to help you out.